Hi everyone, this is the Hub podcast series, episode 17, and we are talking about the topic of overwhelm this month within the Hub. The reason we're talking about it is because we're actually focusing on planning and procrastination within the community from February, and actually a key indicator when talking to our members was the reason that procrastination sets in is because overwhelm is happening and they're feeling quite overwhelmed with all the tasks that they have to do in business. So I've invited one of our experts to have a conversation about this, who is an expert that I've actually used her services. She's been within the Hub community before, so she knows all of our members really well, and she's very highly commended in terms of her craft. So I'm just going to hand it over to Angie just to introduce herself and what she does, basically. So take it away, Angie.
Oh, excuse me. Typical timing. So hi everyone, I'm Angie Simmons. I'm a single mum from a mining town called Mansfield. I'm a pet owner. A little bit about me, I love nature, so I have my little camper car called Olive, so love to travel, and one of the reasons why I like getting out in nature because it's fantastic for your emotional mental well-being. So I'm a personal development and mental wellness mentor. By turning my mental mess into my message, I help women over 30 or business owners help them untangle their internal so they can expand their external world. So it's all about helping people reduce overwhelm, loneliness, especially in business, and increasing their productivity and their emotional mental well-being.
And it definitely is that, as you know, guys, if you've been within the Hub for some time, this is obviously 17, 18 months down the line. We only invite the experts that can really provide solutions or advice or support to the problems. And overwhelm definitely is some of that within business. I'm sure we've all felt overwhelmed at some point, whether that's been at the start of our journey, in the middle, or actually during as we grow, because ultimately when you grow you get even more plates to spin and more overwhelm sets in. So why do you think that is, Angie? Why is overwhelm such a big factor within business, and why does it consume so many people, in your professional opinion?
Well, in my professional opinion, and I can only speak from experience, on my own experience, but from other people that I've worked with, it is that trying to spin too many plates. We're trying to please too many people. We're trying to do too many things. Like myself, I said, I'm a single mum. So although it would be great, she's 18. So, you'd think that an 18-year-old would now get on with her stuff and do it. No. So I've also got a 3-bedroom semi-house that I have to clean as well. Unfortunately, children come with lots of mess sometimes, even when they're adults. And obviously, what I didn't mention earlier is also I'm a dog groomer. So my house can get pretty dusty with dog groom, and I've also got my own dog. So I have to keep my house clean. That's one thing that's important to me. Some people it's not important to, and no judgment there. But for me, I don't like being in mess. And when my house gets messy, I know that my head is getting messy. So it's a very good indicator to me. Overwhelm, personally, and myself, it has been a lot of I'm doing too much. I've also found that when you haven't got a true connection to your business, you take your foot off the gas. So it's about looking at your reason why you're doing what you're doing. Now, I've done Simon Sinek, Find Your Why. I've done Alan Pease, Questions Are the Answers, and I've done all these things, and they've all been great. But one of the things I've learned recently is go 7 levels deep with your why. So for me, it was like, okay, so the reason why I'm doing my business is because I want to help those out there that are struggling mentally, just like I did. And do still sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and say every single day is perfect for me, because we are feeling beings. We all get it. Personally, my experience recently was when I was getting over long COVID. 6 months. And it was like, holy crap, the wheels of my business have fell off. They weren't trundling along, they had fell off. And the pile of paperwork that, stuff that I needed to get done was just getting so, it was just, I wanted it to grow legs, Zoe, and run out the door, but as we know, it don't happen.
No.
But it was just getting bigger and bigger, and because I was looking at this pile of paperwork, I started procrastinating.
Yeah.
So just what you've just explained.
Yeah. And that the reason why I want to share that, as I know we both agree on this, when overwhelm sets in, it is a clear indication that maybe something's not quite right, whether that be in our business, whether it be what happens personally, but especially if you're a business owner and you're an independent business owner, you are your business. Perfect example, today we've had an incident happen within the family, so I was a little bit late coming into a networking meeting where I'm normally, hi everyone, like Zoe, ask Zoe, personal brand, happy as go Larry, and I was that because I could switch it on when I need to switch it on. But at the end, when my mask dropped, Jackie, bless her, went, do you need a hug? And I'm like, no, Jackie, I do not need a hug, because that's going to set me off. What I need to do is sort my head out and process what's happened this morning, and then move forward, because I didn't want that procrastination to set in. And because I know myself very well, I can switch it on and switch it off if I need to in a business and personal, but sometimes them lines can get blurred. And sometimes when overwhelm is amongst us, it is because we're trying to juggle everything within the business, but also everything over here as well, and not realizing that it's all the same, it's all in the same circle. Because if we're not performing at our best self, the business isn't. And that is the importance of the why, and why Simon Sinek talks about it so much. And those that have listened to the podcast for a while know that that's kind of step one in the fab like process that I've created through Ask Zoe. And it's definitely right, you've got to juggle as a business owner, you've got to juggle. But we never went into business to be in the circus. We went into business for it to serve our purpose and obviously our key drivers, and to give us what is want. And sometimes when it's not doing that, that's what creates the overwhelm. So in your experience, with you mentioning obviously several sides to the business, you've got dog grooming, if I can get my teeth in. You've got obviously the mental health side and the wellbeing mentor side. How do you deal with it? What's your kind of, is there a top tip that you can share, or a piece of advice to help anyone who is feeling kind of that set of overwhelm at present in business?
Right, so I can only go from experience regards to me getting the business, my personal development, mental wellbeing business up and running. But with my diary, I'm very strict with my diary, and everything is in my diary. But I also give myself a little bit of time in between each task, because sometimes I'm like, oh, right, I've got a networking meeting until 2:30. I can do this at 2:45. Like you, what if something goes wrong? Like me earlier, I was supposed to be here with you earlier, and then something went wrong with me dropping a dog room off, and then I couldn't get my computer to work, and it was just like, and
then we had connection issues.
the connection issue, and
yeah,
that just causes so much stress.
Yeah.
So for me, I can talk about the instance how I got myself from this huge pile of paperwork, me hiding from it, to actually me then start working in my business again and on my business again.
Yeah.
What I decided to do with this pile of paperwork, do small steps.
Yeah.
Small daily steps or small hour steps. My first task was, I am going to pick up 5 pieces of paper, and I'm going to see what's on these pieces of paper first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, this big pile of paperwork that was making me run the other mile, I would say 50% of it was rubbish. And I just scrawled some notes on there, and I couldn't even remember what they were, or I'd already actioned them, but not got rid of the task.
Yeah.
So what I have got is a little book.
Yeah.
All my tasks. Can I say a naughty word? It's called my GSD book, Get Shit Done book. And what I do is I look at my list, and I'll say, right, every month I write a new list and what I want to achieve that month. And then every single day I'll go to that list and I prioritize. Yeah. What is the one thing I can do on my list today? Yeah. That'll help me get forward. Yeah. That'll push, move that needle forward. Yeah. But it's doing it in bite-sized chunks. One of the things that I have been doing, and I've been doing it with a few clients lately, is we're using the Pomodoro effect, because the other thing in business, we get lonely. Yeah. Especially if you're a solopreneur. Yeah. That's what I was finding. I was finding that the work was quite tasking. I was getting very lonely. So it was a case of, right, okay, I started working with a few people. I got calming music in the background, and I decided I was going to do that particular task in that 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And what that does is, obviously, as you all know, working with you in the past, it's the dopamine hit. And when we get the dopamine hit, it's like, yes, what next can I do?
Yeah.
And that is why my group Safala is starting to really grow legs, because we're all celebrating each other along the way. So I think accountability, breaking things down, and giving yourself some time out in between there.
Yeah.
Well, that's three things for you.
No, I agree. I mean, in lockdown, a lot of the networks that I were involved in, one that me and Angie was involved in quite heavily during lockdown, they used to have kind of like open lunches, open formats, accountability, but it wasn't just about getting stuff done. It was actually that loneliness. And yes, it can contribute to overwhelm, because we feel like we're on our own. We feel like we can't share what's actually happening with the business. Then I've had the conversation where people have looked at my business and said, oh, you've done really well over the lockdown. And I was like, I have, but it's not been easy, and I still face them challenges. But I know what works for me. And that's really kind of the reason I asked Angie to share her top tips, is because it is all about routine. And that's one of the things that I learned from Angie with our work together, me going on to her 7-week program. It is finding the routine that works for you, because not one size fits all. And I got asked to share this in a recent in-person networking event by Mike Lawrence, who is, again, a wellbeing mentor in kind of the South Yorkshire area, but works all over the UK and specialises in mental health first aid courses. And he just asked me to share my routine, because he knows I've had that routine ever since he's met me, and it's not really changed in terms of the task. How I've done it has, but the task hasn't. So my routine is affirmations, journaling, and gratitude. So I ensure that every night that I journal, and I put whatever it is in my head down onto a piece of paper, so I can look at it with a fresh pair of eyes the following morning. Obviously, some people do to-do lists, some people call them achievement lists. It's whatever works for you, but for me, it's journaling and it's brain dumping, and my diary is my Bible. So again, the things that need to get done, make sure they get prioritized. So that helps me with that task. But also for me to reflect on the day with my gratitudes, allows me to be thankful, and also brings me down to a grounding level, so I'm not up on the ceiling. And again, that's what can happen with overwhelm. You feel like you're up here all the time in that fight or flight mode. And then affirmations, every day I think about, right, what do I want to achieve today? What do I want to achieve for this week? Or what do I want to achieve this month? Which obviously, if you've been within the hub, you know that's evident with my Friday win posts, or if you follow me on social media. That helps me, just as Angie's just shared what helps her. So don't think we are saying, right, you must do this because this will work for you. It's about picking what elements are right for you and implementing them in a way that works, because even if it's just one thing, you're better off doing that one thing well before moving on to try and introduce multiple and not do them half as well. So it's all about finding that right fit for you. So is there anything you can share, Angie, on how they would find what the right fit would be for them in terms of these coping techniques and strategies that we're talking about?
So for me, it's a lot about trial and error. You know, I started my journey in 2014. Now, my journey started, as you well know, was listening to audio while I was driving my car. Because we are all busy people. We don't want any more stuff going on our achievement list, get shit done list, whatever you want to call it. We don't want more stuff going on there, because that's going to create even more overwhelm. One of the things I learned from listening to audio while driving your car, you can gain a PhD of your own choice. Now, you can be a PhD of listening to somebody moaning on radio. Or it could be a PhD in you, like mindset, money, procrastination, any of those things. So, you know, for me, there's lots of techniques. As you well know, I use journaling, obviously, is one of my huge ones, hence my year-long undated journal. And I always pick one priority a day to work on. That, you know, what's my number one priority today? Everything else, if I get that one priority done quicker, cool, I'll pick another one. But that's my only thing. I don't put too much pressure. And I put too much pressure on myself. And same with you know, anybody that's watching this, don't put too much pressure on yourself. The
We are only
gratitude,
human, aren't we?
exactly. The gratitude, yes, daily, affirmations daily. So I listen to any audio positive stuff when my fingers are busy and my head gets to walk.
Yeah.
Reading inspirational positive stuff as well.
Yeah.
So the journaling, I'm glad you said that about the nighttime, because what most of us do is go to bed with all this stuff in our heads and then we wonder why we can't sleep. Ring dump it. Get it out your head before bed.
Yeah.
But what that also does is it helps you go to bed celebrating. So you're going to get a good night's sleep, because as well as, you know, the overwhelm and all that stuff that, you know, you've got to get done will keep you up at night.
Yeah.
Then the next day, you're jumping straight in on the same cycle. Don't do it to yourself. Don't get it out of your head. The amount of ideas as well that I've got through journaling, you know, we're talking, I started my journey in 2014. I didn't see the true power of it until 2018. What I've achieved since 2018 up till now, I have to pinch myself every now and again. But it's because I was doing my affirmations, I was doing my gratitude, I was doing my listening, I was doing my reading and all the other things. One more I've got to mention, but I wasn't journaling. Journaling helps you see what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on all the negativity stuff in your life, you're not going to attract anything good. But also, I call them brain farts sometimes, or brain dumps, whatever you want to call them. And I'll just go, oh, some people call them a light bulb moment. And while I'm journaling, it'll come out. When I'm having a wobble, I had a wobble the other night over something simple. And I was like, I need to journal this. And it wasn't what I thought it was. I didn't realize what the wobble was until I journaled. And I was like, oh, is it that? Oh, okay. Thank you. Gone. Good. My biggest one, association. Now, if you're taking advice off your Auntie Nellie, who sits and watches Procrastination Street, Emmerdale, you know, all that sort of stuff, the stuff that I used to watch, by the way, and
I still do.
no relationship, she's massively in debt. If you're taking a, you know, financial advice or relationship advice of Auntie Nellie, where do you think you're going to go? Find the people who you want to learn off. If you want to achieve somebody, there is somebody out there that's done it. Go and find them and get around those people. Because,
I agree.
You know, I'm not going to say the average of whatever, but when you've got the mood hoovers that are literally sucking every single bit of energy out of you, you haven't got no energy to give to yourself, your family, or your business. So just be very careful who you are letting in your inner circle, for sure.
And that's a great top tip, guys, because a lot of people are not mindful about that. And actually, when you sit back and you think, okay, so how I've been feeling recently in terms of overwhelm, is it because of a thing or a person or an environment? And when you've identified that, it's knowledge. I say knowledge is power all the time. It's acknowledgement, it's association, it's actually just being more present and mindful with the decisions that you're making, because ultimately procrastination happens because overwhelm was already set in and it's your mind trying to do too much. So with everything that Angie's just shared, it is really about kind of stopping, reflecting, being aware and moving forward. And even if it's just one thing that you do to change your day for the better, that's an achievement in itself. And a technique that Angie's spoken about, which we've had mentioned before, but just to show you what I talk about in terms of theory in Eat the Frog, which I know we've mentioned about before, that is what Angie's referencing to in terms of prioritizing one task per day and focusing on that. And then you'll be able to, you're eating the frog, basically. You're eating what's stopping you move forward. So just to give you some relevance in that, and obviously if you want to research more about it, go and research Eat the Frog. So Angie, if anyone's listening to this obviously through the hub who can see us, or through obviously our podcast channel, through audio, Anchor, Apple, Spotify, how would they get hold of you if they wanted to talk about this in a little bit more detail? Because we do know that overwhelm sets in sometimes because things that they might not want to share in an open forum, such as the hub and the community. So if they did want to speak to you privately about something that was bothering them or creating that overwhelm, how would they do that?
Well, they can either find me on LinkedIn under Angie Simmons, or they can find me on Facebook under Growth Development Foundation, or I will send you my link and they can have book a one-to-one, and we can just have an informal chat about anything that they're struggling with. And especially if they wanted to jump on the Safala group, because that is really helping people right now.
Amazing. And within the hub, guys, Angie is obviously within there. She'll be in there as the podcast goes live, so you can obviously reach out to her directly for the members. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what is the hub, just go to my website, askzoe.co.uk/the hub, or look into her services, and you can find out more about the business development community we've created to help just even more people that much more. So thanks for joining today, Angie. It's been a pleasure as always. The next episode, which will be episode 18, is based around content and consistency. So keep your eyes peeled on our channels next month for that episode. But this episode will become live by the end of the week. So by the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day, top of the morning to you. I've always got to say that when it's St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, it will go live by Friday within the community along with our webinar. So just thanks again, Angie. And yeah, do reach out if you want to get some support. I can endorse it. So do make them connections, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.